With Andres Valenteus taking his 9th win in a row and his 12th win out of 13 in both classes, the Red Baron of IMSA Vintage is a full win clear of Joram van Hicks in the GTO Championship. But the GTP Championship is as tight as ever, with only 3 points separating Jack Wells and Jacob Reed after Jacob failed to capture victory for 2 weekends in a row. Will the relatively new confines of Algarve continue to sow trouble for Reed, or break the stride of Valenteus? Or will their winning ways be further cemented? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 6 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I am Adam Wingren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Our director is Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Algarve is almost a mile longer than last week's Mosport and adds 5 more turns into the mix. To see what that adds to the action, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Algarve International Circuit, more commonly known to fans as Portimao. Located at the very southern end of Portugal and just a half an hour from the Atlantic Ocean, the first thing most folks notice about this place is the elevation changes. It has nearly as many rises and falls as it does corners, which, for those curious, is either 15 or 16 turns, depending on which of the 4 layouts you choose. All clock in at roughly 4.5 kilometers, or just under 3 miles. A lap here kicks off with a big plunge down into Primera, which is either a swift right flick or a sharp turn into a chicane. Both are going to be tough to nail. We'll go through a good variety of fast, medium, and slow corners, but each one is distinctly different. Having a stable setup will absolutely be key. One of the most iconic spots is the flight over the hill between Samsung and Craig Jones. It's often described as a roller coaster-like hill, feeling like it's going to throw you out of the car. Built in 2008, it's got a surprising amount of character for a relatively new circuit. Because of this, it's become quite popular for a number of motorcycle and GT series that visit regularly. It's also hosted lots of TC racing and open wheelers all the way up to Formula One. As the first Portuguese track to join the iRacing service, it'll likely be just as popular virtually as it is with fans in real life.
Well, Craig, this place is a challenge in any class, but now we have 2 classes around here. How are IMSA Vintage going to handle this place today?
Yeah, well, Adam, opened in 2008, the track had aspirations to be a Formula One track, but it now has a legacy for the European Le Mans series. It's a track full of everything: slow, tight corners, sweeping corners that link together, elevation changes, and enough space to swing the rear out of an Audi GTO. Now, if it is a track designed for Formula One racing, the GTPs will once again enjoy this track. However, the slow corners like Primera, Lagos, and Torre, all at the start of the lap, will cause problem to the Nissans. But the time will be made back in those faster sections. Now, the faster sections are not something the GTOs will enjoy. Due to the elevation changes, the car will need to be on and off both the throttle and the brake to help point that nose around Portimao, Sagres, and Galp. Track does have a good mix, though, of tarmac and grass runoff, so the key is try not to cut a corner inside, but don't open up the throttle too early and go off on exit. Multiclass in theory will be fine here due to the space and sweeping corners, but the Nissans will want to be careful not only to pick the right side to overtake the Audis, but also to be ready on the brow of a hill so they don't blindside themselves into an Audi. Well, it's safe to say, though, Adam, today the Portuguese hills are alive with the sound of 80s machinery.
And that is absolutely music to our ears. What is music to our fans' ears, I'm sure, is how tight the GTP Championship is between Jack Wells and Jacob Reed. It's only 3 points separating the two of them. 100 point and 97 points. And then we've got Seamus Power down in 3rd position with 71, very closely followed by Farrengrau, only 1 point behind him. Then it's Antti Lapisto quite a ways back, who's battling out with Togo Hisada and also Cal Young, Logan Edwards. And then we've got a 3-way tie for 9th. Hamilton Burrow-Ruiz, David Riccardi, and off the screen is Timothy Reed, who's had a run of pretty good finishes over the last couple of races. But Craig, how are the GTOs doing?
Well, in the GTOs, one number, 5. That is Valenteus. 5 wins from 5. But be prepared, earlier in the week, he crashed out here, so you may be okay. Johan van Hicks, though, is trying to keep the fight up, and keep the fight up he will. Didn't have a good race last week, and it's the same with the rest of the field. That podium battle for second and third now opens up with Noel Lundberg after a good result, but at the back, look how close it is between Pollock, Del Olmo, Brain, Cloud, and even Fabian Youngblood is just creeping into the top 10. As per usual, as I always like to say in the GTOs, the top half of the table battling, the bottom half of that top 10 always battling.
This is going to be a very interesting race for sure, and let's head over to the race details to find out why. It was round 6 of 12 last week at a 70-minute race, first one for years. This time we're back to our sprint format, 40 minutes. Open setups for these vehicles and no spare car for them. They have a drive-through at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25. It's easy to pick up incidents by going off track here, but there's plenty of ways to get back on track without causing too much incident. Craig, going to be a very interesting race around this circuit today as qualifying is well underway.
Yeah, qualifying, they're just in the mix of their first laps as well. We'll like this track. We've had similar tracks earlier in the season. When you look at, we went through the motorbike portion of the season, and you get that similar European style of track around here. And it's something that the community on iRacing really wanted at some point, is to have these European tracks on the service. Portimao hasn't been a track that everyone has enjoyed. It's a really tough track to load up and get used to. However, the drivers are getting used to it. As you see up that brow for the final corner, this is coming out of Galp, really just goes to show the elevation changes as the first laps are coming. And no surprise, it's the Japanese sensation Toga Hisada on pole.
Absolutely, Toga Hisada taking provisional pole position by a 10th and a bit from Nick Makanos, who's had a pretty good run of qualifying lately in the GTPs. If he can keep that up, he'll keep himself up at the front of the GTP field. And that's exactly where he wants to be, trying to work on his timings. 4 minutes to go left in qualifying. Mickey Friesen currently leads the GTO championship, or rather the GTO qualifying, by half a second over now a third, 3/10 of a second over Doug Cloud. But JD Rodriguez jumps to the top of the timing tower by 2 1/1000ths of a second. A great qualifying for JD.
Yeah, he is so close there with Friesen. This could be a track that Mickey may love and may actually get that victory. Knock on wood. Knock on wood, he may get that second victory today. I have noticed out there, a certain Valenteus has a black flag, which means that he's unsafely exited the pit. He's not going to set a valid qualifying lap. These will not count. This is him just doing some recon. I'll tell you what, we're used to him doing this last to first challenge nowadays. There's 20 GTOs today, Adam. That is not going to be easy.
20 GTOs and 26 GTPs out there, so it's going to be a challenging race for anyone to try and make their way through the field, because there's just not going to be a lot of room on circuit. We're looking at Noah Lundberg right now as he's coming down through the, he just finished a qualifying lap that put him onto provisional pole position by nearly half a second over JD Rodriguez. So those second laps much faster for the GTOs today.
Yeah, I don't know if it's due to any temperature changes or anything, but Noah Lundberg continues to go on through as he just keeps on looking for more time. Going to be interesting to see how they go around this track today. Those elevation changes, one thing we always forget to factor in, the braking zones. They start to be altered a little bit as Mickey Friesen goes into P2. You want to be careful when braking downhill, as you will carry a bit more weight. You will carry a bit more speed because of the weight. It is Newton's law of gravity, so they have to be very careful out there.
Absolutely, and we expect some of the GTPs to send it deep through turn 1, but the GTOs have to commit early and under braking for that turn, whereas the GTPs sometimes can enter the corner lifting. So I expect to see a little bit of consternation happening, a little bit of coming together happening in turn 1. It's fairly easy to do around here. We're riding on board with Dante Lapisto right now as he's trying to set his second lap. He's currently in 10th position, about a second and a bit off of pole position. Jacob Reed, though, up to the top of the timing tower. Unfortunately for the GTPs and the GTP Championship, Jack Wells is not here today, so he won't be able to defend his current points lead. And Jacob Reed setting the fastest qualifying time, that's not looking good for the rest of the field.
Well, that's going to be a drop week there for Jacob Reed is going to just keep on pushing. The Piso comes around Galp to set his time. It's a respectable Respectable time of 28.4, but he's 3,000 behind Brendan Lim. Could be very interesting on the top of that mark. Valente is still coming around just to set a few more times. Remember, he does not have any time out there. He's just using this to do some sighting laps. I believe with just a couple drivers left, that could be all she wrote. Del Olmo is just on a sighting lap himself. I would say this is all but done.
It is all but done. Jacob Reed was looking at trying to improve his time, but unfortunately he's going to park it and have to take his provisional pole position as it is, and that's more or less going to do us for today. Ove Trankrate going around just getting some more practice laps in as we have 30 seconds left in qualifying. Craig, what are you expecting at the start of this race today? Because this place could be a challenge to get started and not lose too much time.
Carnage. Primera is a tight corner, as you may just see with Alvarez here, the number 45. He may just give you a quick sign of just to show how tight it is. You can just see it there on the right of the screen. It tightens up, and then you get a bit of elevation going up the hill. It's slight, but it's enough just to throw you off. It is so tight on those first three corners. Primera, turn 2, and into Lagos. It's going to be very interesting to see if they can try and make it side by side there. GTO should be all right. The GTPs are going to have a challenge.
And speaking of the GTPs, we're about to get down to our grid. It's going to be Jacob Reed on pole position with Togo Hisada next to him in row 1. Nick Makanos is going to start off row 2 with Cal Young tucked in behind Togo Hisada next to him in 4th position. Row 3 goes to Raul Roches Guardia and Ardo Iamaki, with row 4 being Seamus Power and Brendan Lim. Antti Lapisto is going to start off 9th, with Laust Olsen rounding out the top 10. Then it's Ilka Codesalo in 11th position, with Logan Edwards in 12th next to him. Row 7 goes to Carlos Peralta and Dylan Freckleton. Matthew Cockram is on row 8 next to Davide Riccardi. And then we've got Juanmi Cermeño, who's going to line up next to Josep Romero on row 9. Harry Weir and AJ Jesse round out your top 20 of the GTPs. Then we got Andre Felipe Diaz in row 11 next to Kelton Armstrong. And then Manuel Gonzalez and Adrian Alvarez are our last qualifying drivers, and then we've got Bruno Araya and Martin Sproul who round out your 26 GTPs today.
Well, we'll look at the GTOs, and when we get that, Noel Lundberg will be on pole for the GTOs. Mickey Friesen will be beside him once again, and JD Rodriguez with a really good P3. He'll be alongside Johan Van Hicks, and then Javier Del Olmo, the Orange Sensation, in 5th, with Doug Cloud in 6th. Alfonso Fernandez, a surprising new driver we've not seen, in 7th, with Jack David Spickett 8th. Martin Krajcik will be 9th, and Ove Trengerade will be 10th to round out the first page. And then car 10 will be 11th with Fabian Jumbluff, with Christoph Lesniak in 12th. Emilio Cicciari will take 13th, with Mika Tupola in 14th. And then it's Brandon White in 15th. Ian Haycock's not having the best of times out there in 16th. Yusio Alvarez, we did see the car 45 17th. Martin Enrique Revert will be 18th. Israel Vazquez will be the last of the time qualifiers in 19th. And Valenteus, he may have it easy, he may have it hard. Lost the first once again. The number 1 car is trying to get another victory.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interesting race out here, Craig. And I mean, I'm very anxious, to be honest. Last week at Mosport, the drivers are fairly measured. It was a top split of 2. This week, it's a single split, and it's at a much more challenging circuit, 5 more turns to navigate, and a lot of curbs on the inside of these turns. What do you think the strategy is for the drivers today to try and survive out here?
Well, I mean, it's try and survive. For the GTOs, it's always mission survive. And they're going to have to be careful because of the second half of the track is a lot of sweeping fast corners. So these corners here that you're just seeing the GTPs go by, but they just come out of Lagos and down into the corners, they're very tight. You're going to have to make sure that on some of the faster corners, the GTPs will probably go for dives. Look how tight it is there. You can see the rubbered in racing line there. It's not going to be an easy corner to make an overtake, but if you see a battle, they are going to try and squeeze in as much as they can. GTOs get to this corner right now. This is Lagos. You can see great camera work there. You can just see there is space to make a move, but a lot of it will have to be done here after throttle. And as they swing around this corner, you then also see there is opportunities. But remember what I said, Adam, you don't want to go too wide. There is tarmac there, but you do risk an off track and a possible slowdown.
Absolutely. Speaking of drivers who are trying not to go off track, Noel Lundberg is currently our provisional pole positioner in the GTOs, and he is looking for his 10th win in the broadcast split, but he has yet to win the race this season. So he has he's really hoping to get that maiden win this season. He had a second place on the first round, but just has not been able to recapture that sort of success over the rest of the rounds. So having 4/10 of a gap on his other qualifiers, he has the pace to do it today. Will he be able to survive the chaos?
Yeah, just because you've got the pace doesn't mean you're going to be quick out here today and you're going to win. It's all about negotiating the traffic. We always talk about how the faster cars will lose time getting stuck behind the slower cars, but the slower cars, if they have to not turn in on time, they have to just deviate from the apex, they'll lose a bit of time. So look for that in the later half of the race. First time through traffic will be chaotic, but a caveat here today, Adam, there's only really 2 straights, 1.5 straights, let's call it really. It's not going to be that slipstream draft train battle we've seen throughout the season in the GTOs and what we've always seen. This could be a battle of pace today. And like you said, Noel Lundberg with that almost 4/10 faster in qualifying, that could play into his hands.
Mickey Friesen, last year's championship challenger and this race's second position pole qualifier, unfortunately had a clutch issue, so he's going to either have to start from the pits or is not going to start this race. So that will be an interesting thing that we'll keep our eyes on as we head towards the green flag. The Porsche pace car is going to pull off to the right very shortly to join the pit lane, and it's going to be Jacob Reed who's going to lead the drivers to the flag, and Jacob jumps quite early, leaving Togo Hisada in the dust. Nick Picanos is next to Cal Young, but Nick got actually a pretty good jump on Togo. He's going to look to the inside of turn 1. It's a long way down to turn 1, but turn 1's a high-speed corner, and Togo's going to try and carry it deep into the corner. He goes too deep, off track. That's going to be Nick Picanos up into second.
Carlos gets up into second. You can see the moves, the GTOs. Look at them, they're almost going 3 wide. And JD Rodriguez had a good run, but he can't make it. Look out for Javier Del Olmo. He can't make that move stick on Van Hicks either. Doug is trying to get a good move. He gets around Javier Del Olmo around the outside. Here comes Javier to make a response. They're going to go side by side into Lagos. And this is very good racing by the two of them. Doug wants to get this advantage, try and make that car as wide as he can. But you can see a lot of cars still jostling for position in the background.
Dylan Freckleton's had a problem in the GTPs, as well as Colton Armstrong, Bruno Araya, and Martin Sproul. They're slow, and that's going to cause some issues when the GTOs can come roaring up back to them. Oh no, we've had an issue for JD Rodriguez from the battle for the lead. He's gone around, so if that's going to take him out of the picture, and no longer will he be able to challenge for that win that you've been talking about, unfortunately.
And he just went 3 wide with Youngblood, and I don't know who that was with 3 wide with Youngblood, and he just went a little bit side by side with them. It was Dechari, just a little tap. Dechari's out, Youngblood's out just there. It was just a small mistake there from JD Rodriguez, and he tried to get back going. He lost it under braking on his own, coming down that corner, and we talked about the elevation change at the start of the race, Adam. Leader got caught out there.
Take a look at Raul Guardia. He goes off track there and is trying to make a pass on Seamus Power. He's got speed, but the question is, does he want to take the commitment down the inside of turn 1? He's going to take a look, catch a little bit of draft from Ardo Miyamaki up ahead. Seamus is going to carry it deep into the corner, and Raul Guardia is going to have to hold off and sit behind. No progress for him. Jacob Reed still holding a second gap over Nick Bacanos. If Nick can keep with Jacob, I'll have immense respect for him. No one else has been able to this entire season when Jacob has had the lead, except for Jack Wells and Seamus Power, who had a fortunate win last week at Mosport.
Yeah, just remember Jacob Reed, 1 race Hockenheim, he blew the engine, and that's why he isn't undefeated so far. Himaki looking to make up moves, already +1 for the day. Crazy to see Hisada losing 2 positions early on. That's Lesniak just having a little bit of a moment out there as Fernandez goes a little bit wide, just making a mistake. He made that move around the outside of the first corner, and that is Primera, but could not make any more. He is now trying to chase. Always talk about his pedigree, still yet to make that work in the GTOs. Other positions happening as well. Youngblood trying to make his way back up the field.
Manuel Gonzalez having trouble himself in the GTPs. He's off the back. He's had a couple of self-spins, but he's now recovering as we take a look at Archis Valenteus trying to do his last and first challenge, already up to 9th position. And climbing the ladder, he's got Alfonso Fernandez up ahead of him. He's not looking back at Martin Krejcik or JD Rodriguez as Rodriguez is trying to make his recovery drive.
Yeah, he's trying to make his recovery drive. Valenteus is trying to just make his drive, doing really well. Javier Del Olmo now battling Jack David Spickett. Not the best of qualifying for JDS. In fact, I think he even said he was just going to do a grid and go attempt. He tried to do what he usually does, didn't have a good time. He went in for qualifying, did not work for him, and now he's under pressure from Del Olmo. We're on board. Behind him is Ove Trengerade. We know what Ove can do. If there's a mistake up ahead, he will capitalize. He is the king of capitalizations here, and I don't mean using the capital F for first place. He still looks looking, but look at Del Olmo, unable to make advantage of a mistake from JDS.
Gary Weir has a self-spin in the GTP, setting him back towards the back of the pack, but we've got a pass for the lead in the GTOs. Noah Lundberg going up the inside of Joram Van Hicks through turn 1. You can see it just ahead, and Noah Lundberg's going to try and hold on to it. Van Hicks is going to try and do the crossover. Lundberg trying to go deep into the next turn, but Van Hicks sticks his nose in there, and he's got the position, but it's going to swap from the inside to the outside, and Van Hicks trying to get a good run off of the corner. He does so. He's going to be able to get challenged down into the braking zone.
Yeah, coming down into Toro. This is where JD Rodriguez lost it. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? And it will be both of them. But wide goes Lundberg. He's going to lose out to Doug Cloud. And now he's side by side with Doug Cloud. You never want to be side by side with the man who makes his car wider than a Zamboni. And he cannot hold on as Lundberg will take that inside again. A lot of the switching corners here, just catching the drivers out. Yes, you want to be doing the battles, but do you really want to be doing the battles? It's the champion Van Hicks has now got the lead.
And now the battle for the lead is from first all the way down to 10th positions in the GTOs. Look at this, side by side for Rochas Guardia and Seamus Powers. They're duking it out through turns 1 and 2. Tight stuff as Rochas Guardia is able to maintain that position and climb ahead, but a little bit loose on exit and a little bit off track. Is going to give Seamus Power an opportunity. Guardia to the inside to try and defend. Power on the outside, late braking for Power, trying to sweep around the outside here. Guardia gives him the space on the outside of the track. A little bit of wheel spin again on exit for Guardia. That's going to allow Power to power through, and he's going to take the position on the turn. But look at this, Guardia around the outside again, going to go late on the brakes. These two side by side, losing time to Arlie Yamaki ahead, but they don't care. They're having the battle of their life.
Why not? This is the fun. This is what IMSA Vintage is about. And Guardia holds the position after some mistakes there from Power. He also gets a bit too hot on the throttle. And then they'll come now to the final few corners. And Power's going to have to do this again. You're on board with the 007 cam. Just a little bit of uneasiness there on the throttle. It's only 27.6 Celsius is the temperature. That's 79 Fahrenheit. And you can see it just causing issues for some of these drivers. Not a good final corner there for Power. Maybe gets a run here, but he's going to have to wait once again. And I tell you what, they're going to have one more lap before they hit the traffic. He may have to wait for that.
Barely any wind to speak of out there as well, so they're not really having to deal with any sort of blustery conditions that may cause any issues. We take a look at Jack David Spickett right now. He's at 4th position, tucked in behind the all-defensive Doug Cloud. And Noah Lundberg and Joram Van Hicks are only second ahead of these two. So Doug trying to look forward while defending against Jack David Spickett, now Javier Del Olmo.
I don't know if Doug actually does look forward. I think he actually just has the rearview mirror as his main mirror. If there was an AP award for best defensive driver, it would go to Doug Cloud. He infuriates drivers with just the way he defends that car. And you can just see right again, he's just putting that to work and bunching them up so much that Javier Del Olmo almost went into the back of Jack David Spickett. That is what he was doing for a moment. Maybe they can hope for an opportunity here, but the more time they know, the more time they stay behind Doug, the more time they're going to lose, because Lundberg and Van Hicks already has a second on everybody. But yeah, Jack David Spickett, he wanted to get on the throttle too early on Galp. He went over that ridge, hit the throttle, and he just realized he had to get off the throttle.
We've had a punt. Nick McConos has been punted by Cal Young for second position in the GTPs. Cal Young was putting pressure on Nick McConos, and he just got into the back of him and sent him around in one of the braking zones. Cal Young up to second. Nick McConos is now going to have to try and recover.
And that was due to checking up for a GTO that was braking for the corner. And that was Vazquez just having a small moment there, unable to hold on to that. So that is the nature of the traffic already. Just one back marker catching everybody out. And look at the train. They're all trying to get through. You know what? Mecanos has got some decent aero damage there. Costastalo will come by. Vazquez goes really wide there, as you just see in the shot. cannot make a lot of moves here, but that is going to cause a lot of damage there for Mechanos. No fault to Young, though. It was just just no one knowing what was happening. Again, crest of that hill, Adam.
Absolutely. Looks like Joseph Romero's had a little bit of an incident with Izel Vasquez in the GTO as well. So Vasquez just in the wrong place at the wrong time for a lot of these drivers. We're taking a look at Antti Lepisto as he's tucked into this gigantic battle going on for the 9th position, and they're starting to cut through some of the rest of the GTOs. Things are going to start to get spicy here.
They already have got spicy. You start to see Lepisto. He's got Laus Olsen in front. Have a little bit of a breather now, lads, because you've got a few more corners before you hit traffic once again. I want to say they're about 3 seconds ahead of some of the traffic, so they're just going to have to reset and recharge. They can't see any of those cars on the relative. And the scary thing is, when you're in a group like this, you don't see those blue names on your black box relative. You just have to hope that you see it. A car up ahead going a little bit wide there, and it was Guardia going wide trying to battle Chambers' power. That's going to hold him up. There is Mickey Friesen in front. He is on auto blip after that mistake from the clutch. He's going to have to wait for this. These drivers now coming out of Gulf, the final corner. They're going to have to make an adjustment because there is Friesen. Not sure if anyone's going to make an advantage from this.
No, it doesn't look like it. Nobody's making an advantage off of this. The lead of the GTOs is also closed up between Van Hicks and Lundberg as they're duking it out nose to tail. As we see Logan Edwards making a pass on Nick Mechanos. Nick with that aero damage is not able to go quickly on the straights. It's going to be, oh my goodness, Logan almost loses the car on the curbs on the exit of 1. Fortunately manages to hang on to it, and he's going to rejoin the track a little bit slowly and just recover from getting his knickers in a twist there.
Yeah, he is able to keep on. Here's Togo Hisada. We haven't talked a lot about him since that start of the race, and he's managed to get back 1 position. Mechanos has gone around again, by the way. Not sure what has happened to Mechanos, but this is Togo Hisada as he keeps on trying to work. Lost a bit of time to Cal Young up ahead. You can just see him, but now this is where these fast sections can go around the outside, slow down, get ready to go down the inside for another car. He's able to make up a bit of time here as there are some GTOs up ahead. It's P8 and P9, Lesniak and Rodriguez. Maybe Young's going to get caught up by this. In fact, he is, and he's all of a sudden going to close this gap.
And Nick Mechanos got sent around by Carlos Peralta. Nick braked a little bit early for one of the braking zones and ended up getting sent into the wall. He's got major damage, and he's going to have to go to the pits to get that repaired. Andres Valenteus, I could report, is up to 7th position and is currently trying to knock on the door of Ove Trangerade. As we see a spinning Laus Olsen there. He's now gone to the infield to try and recover that machine, but oh boy, he does manage to not rejoin in a dangerous position, but that was very close. Ove Trangerade and Andres Valenteus duking it out for the 6th position. So we take a look at Joran Van Hicks trying to battle for the lead of the GTOs, and we've had a spinner. Doug Cloud's gone around, and so is Togo Hisada. Togo trying to take it up the inside, and fortunately for Togo and Doug, that's going to take a lot of time out of their races.
The lightest of touches, and unfortunately there was no room there for Hisada. I'm sorry, Togo, no room. In fact, he got on the sausage curve, and unfortunately that has lost him a lot of time. And more issues going on as well. It is all happening at the moment. The chaos has started, and this is kind of what we expected around here.
Absolutely. Ove Trangerade, and look at this, Togo Hisada still trying to recover, trying to get up the inside of some of these GTPs and take advantage of the GTO traffic. The GTOs also having battles of their own. Krzysztof Olesniak and Ove Trangerade and Andres Valenteus all having their own battle in 6th position, as we see Togo finally getting recovered and into a stable position in the GTPs.
He's in a stable position, but the car is very sit side by side. It's 2 cars, Trangerade and Valenteus. He's going to have to lift and wait for this. Now he's got Perosa side by side with him. We've got 2x2 in both classes. Trangerade having this really good battle with Valenteus, but as they come around Staggerheads, 3 wide as Togo tries to go around the outside. Really brave. Valenteus is going to go to the inside. He'll take that position, and Hisada gets it stuck. Has he lost a bit of time, though? All these cars are now losing a bit of time trying to go around. Hisada, that's a brave move around the outside of Sagred to make it 3 wide. He holds on to that P9.
Valenteus and Ove Trangerade absolutely duking it out. They have been for 2 laps, and Ove Trangerade is going to try and go around the outside through turn 1. It is the preferred line in both classes. Valenteus has to brake early, but Trangerade takes it too deep. Valenteus finally securing that 6th position. It was hard fought around here. And look at this behind them. That's Joseph Romero and Juanmi Cermeño, who sent it very deep into turn 2, absolutely blocking off Trangerade, who now loses a position to Alfonso Fernandez.
Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. And Semenyo now trying to make sure he can catch up. And look at the late braking. When you're on a hairpin like Torre, you don't really want to be doing that. And you can see he is having issues out there, almost causing a problem for Valenteas as he tries to make his way up. Valenteas has to try and find some seconds. But there's still 26 minutes left in the race as these two continue duking it. But here's the issue. As they almost go in with Van Hicks there now watching this battle, if you start trying to send the corner too hard, you're not going to have the speed in these GTPs, and you're going to hold up the GTOs on corner exits. And that is what these drivers are hoping not, as Van Hicks continues to look for positions over Jack David Spickett.
Oh.
Just lost it, but more GTPs, Ricciardi and Edwards just sending it in.
The GTPs are absolutely sending it in today, as we have noticed. And Jorn Van Hicks has lost the second position to Jack David Spickett this lap. Happened a couple of corners ago, and Van Hicks now is trying to cling to the back of Jack David Spickett. Jack David Spickett going to try and close that 2.2 second gap up to Noel Lundberg. We're taking a look at AJ Jesse, as Jesse's trying to have a nice battle here with Andre Felipe Diaz for 17th.
Yeah, they still got to go through the traffic, and look at them weaving and weaving. Lars Olsen is on a recovery drive now. He knows he made the mistake. He's going to have to try and make it back up, as he does get one position, but then has to get hard on the brakes. They come around Lagos and continues on. It's very interesting to see, though. We've gone through most of the first time through the traffic. Still a lot of time to go through as Ove Trengaray is making his recovery here. It's very interesting just to see what that has caused. The cars are still bunched up in the GTOs, even though we've seen a lot of incidents. And you see these two cars, they shouldn't be in the middle of the pack here. They were running at the front, is Trengaray and Doug, and just a couple of issues has just caused them to lose this. Doug's going to try and set it on the inside. He gets it stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Gets bottled up behind Adrian Alvarez. So Ove Trengaray and Doug Cloud are well out of position now. They're going to be fighting their way back through the GTO field for the rest of the day. And it really feels, Craig, like the classes have yet to figure out where the passes are supposed to be made and how to best negotiate this circuit when it comes to the multi-class.
Yeah, and I wonder a lot of it is just inexperience, because you can watch real-world racing. You've got European Le Mans Series here. You've also had IMSA Series, the modern-day IMSA Series on iRacing, come here a couple times. Not a lot of people driving it. As Trengaray almost goes into the back of Craytrick there, the car in front. A lot of drivers will probably have to use that as how they see things. Some drivers probably would have learned earlier in the week with practice races. But at the same time, it is so tough to really work out how you're meant to take this track. And I think that is just what causing a lot of these drivers the issues. GTPs, they feel like, oh, it's not our fault. Yeah, we're doing it fine. But all that downforce, you do need to slow down sometimes.
It's funny. I look at the top 5 in the GTPs, and I think to myself, is this late 2023? We have Jacob Reed, Cal Young, Ardo Yamaki, and Raul Roches Guardia up at the front of the field. Oh, Jorn Van Hicks has had a problem.
Yeah,
Jorn Van Hicks has had a big problem. He's absolutely pile-driven into the wall, and he got sent around by a spinning GTP, and he tumbled 4 or 5 times. So that car is going to the pits. He's going to have to take a tow probably. He's trying to get the car going, but that is the end of Jorn Van Hicks' day.
Yeah, I was looking at the relative and I saw Diaz had a moment, and I didn't see Van Hicks. Diaz came around, I believe that was Lagos. Yeah, it was Lagos. Just tried to get on the power. Do you know what's interesting? He got on the power right around where there was some dirt thrown up by a car going wide. He had no grip there and just got too hot on the throttle. Caught out Van Hicks. That's a big time incident there for Van Hicks to actually lose out there. That throws it. You're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen. That puts Jack David Spickett into P2. You talked about it. This is 2023 again, Adam. This does feel a little bit later as we've got more spinners. That's Noah Bugda leading all round. Jack David Spickett is leading this race.
So Noel Lundberg gets into trouble with AJ Jesse. This was a very interesting incident. This one looks, AJ Jesse expected Noel Lundberg to go through the corner faster than he did and got into the back of him. So Noel Lundberg now is back to second position, 1 second behind Jack David Spickett. Javi Del Olmo tucked in right behind him. It's a race for the lead in the GTOs after Noel Lundberg had built up a 3-second gap.
Yeah, and again, problem is, like I said, GTPs, this is the Formula style track. As we see more GTPs battling, they've got the downforce. They can carry the speed. These are 80s cars. These are 35 coming onto my birthday, 36-year-old GTOs we're talking about. They don't have the modern day downforce, the modern day technology. They have to take those corners. Again, that is inexperience if you don't know what to expect here. And that's not just the inexperience of this track, but also just if you don't understand the cars. I'm not saying AJ doesn't. AJ's a regular. But it just goes to show that if you don't understand the speed differences here, it's so tough. Valenteus trying to look to make some moves.
Oh, a huge incident in the GTOs. Alfonso Fernandez, Martin Krajcik, both of them getting together and absolutely pirouetting through the sky. And this was because of another spinning GTP of Harry Weir. So both of those GTOs, like bowling pins, the GTOs are being taken out this race.
And Harry Weir is someone that is now becoming a regular down in the second split. That is something you don't expect to see. Drivers getting caught out. The track temp, 27°C, 81 Fahrenheit there. It's not hot enough to start thinking about losing grip. But these GTP drivers are just getting too hot on the throttle. Again, where are these issues happening, Adam? It's the slow corners. We talked about the slow corners being a bit of a struggle for these drivers. You get on the throttle too early, you're going to spin the rear up. But all of a sudden, Jack David Spickett, do not adjust your TV set. And I know he'll know that I'm ribbing you here. Do not adjust your TV set. Jack David Spickett is leading ahead of Noah Lundberg, and Javier Del Olmo is P3.
Yeah, this is a very interesting field for sure. Javier Del Olmo is a champion in the GTOs. He had a bad bit of form the last couple of seasons and is now trying to get back on form. This is not going to be the way that he wants to get it done, but if he can get a win today because of the misfortune of others, I don't think he's going to mind it so much. But at this point, if I'm a GTO and I know that these incidents have happened, I'm glued to my rearview mirror and I might think about getting out of the way of some of the GTPs.
Well, I mean, Daniel's just put the cameras on Doug Cloud as you're saying that. What did I say earlier in the race? I think Doug Cloud just looks at the rearview mirror for defense. We talked about how they had to survive around here today. We didn't expect it to be like this for the GTOs, and now they really have to start thinking, oh, what do I, maybe I have to just keep my eyes safe here, and that's what they're having to look at right now. Doug knows behind him, a second and a half behind him, is Jacob Reed. So he can just keep focused now for a little bit up to this. He'll get the flag set, giving him the blue and blue flag, and there's more incidents happening out there.
Absolutely. We've had Joseph Romero and Logan Edwards getting near each other in the GTPs. We're taking a look at Doug Cloud. Oh my goodness. The GTPs absolutely just scything through the GTOs, and Obi Trankers have been having real trouble getting off of the corners because the GTP set it in so deep they don't have the traction to exit, just like you said, Craig. And so here we see Laust Olsen on his recovery drive trying to catch up to Joseph Romero. I can report that Noah Lundberg has gotten to the rear bumper of Jack David Spickett. No opportunities for move, but that lead battle is now nose to tail. Again, the question is, can they remain that way because they have the GTPs cutting through them the whole time?
They've got more GTPs coming through. I can't find a single part of the track where there's nobody on it right now, and that just goes to show how chaotic it is out there now. As you see, Laust Olsen continues his little battle with Romero. I can report that almost had a moment in the lead of the GTOs. Everything's safe at the moment as Laust continues on. Spickett is pushing ahead of Del Olmo, which is great to see. Laust Olsen continues on. This is what's very interesting. They know that they've just gone through the traffic once again, but behind them will be Jacob Reed. So now there is no rest period for these GTOs, and you really have to start to be alert. Lundberg is probably going to hope for a mistake here from Jack more than a multi-class issue.
Absolutely. So Jack David Spickett just needs to drive his race. He's quite quick. But Noah Lundberg, we know that he's got race pace on Jack David Spickett, and we can see it there under braking. Noel just able to get a lot more out of the car. In fact, Jack David Spickett going quite wide here. The pressure getting to him. It's been a while since Jack has led. He's not used to looking in the mirror in the same way, and he's actually going to let Noel go.
Gonna let him go, and he doesn't have good time here. He can't even go to an attack here because Jacob Reed just comes on by. Maybe he looks for the run. But what's interesting here, Adam, as you see a Mackie go, Jack David Spickett probably won't go for the overtake on Lundberg, and I confirm he isn't, because they know 5.5 seconds behind them is Valenteus. There's 17 minutes left. I think it's still doable for the number 1 car.
Artie Yamaki was in second. He spun out himself on the corner exit. Now Seamus Powers trying to put pressure on Raul Roches Guardia to take what is now the last spot on the roster. He's going to sweep it around the outside and get that position done. The question is he going to be able to hold it through turn 3? He's on the brakes, and Raul Roches Guardia is going to give that position up.
Imamaki went around. Imamaki took the turn 1, took Primera too tight. He's
and so is Togasada again. Oh, he's just braking just in time to keep himself out of the racing line. He's going to back it up, but he's got major front end damage now. Toko Hisada, that is going to be pretty much the end of his race. He likely will have to get that repaired, or he's going to be carrying. He spins out again, trying to recover. And here is Brendan Lim, who's had a problem. What is happening in the GTPs today?
Well, I don't know what is happening, but I do know that this is what we usually call vintage IMSA Vintage. And unfortunately, it is just a nature, especially when you throw 46 cars onto this track. It does happen here, and JD Rodriguez is still battling with Javier Del Romo. This is for P3 as well. Every time you look, there's nowhere to go. I feel sorry for the director today.
How has JD made it back up to 4th position? Remember when he spun out earlier on in the race, he had that problem. He ended up way down in 10th position. Now, due to attrition and due to the issues that we've had, he's now back looking at a podium position in the GTOs, and he is only 2.5 seconds off of the lead of the race in the GTOs. So JD Rodriguez is making mountains out of molehills here, and he makes contact with Javier Lobo, pushing him into turn 1. As we take a look at that, is Andres Valenteus. He's up to 5th position. Andres, he is only 4 or 5 seconds off of the lead of the race. There is JD going around the outside. So we take a look at Joseph Romero in the 14th position in the GTPs. Here's JD Rodriguez. There you can see him battling it out with Javier Del Olmo. Javier does not want to give up this position. JD is sticking his nose in again as Javier has to brake late.
He makes that position, though, to JD, but the more they fight, the closer Valenteus gets. He did a 42 flat last time by. As we look at Guardia, so keep your eyes up. The gap between Lundberg and Valenteus is 5.1 seconds. You can see it on the timing tower. You don't need me to say it out loud to everybody. You get to see this battle, though, as Seamus keeps on trying to fight on Guardia. He has to be on the defense. Sada has got into the pits. He's recovered that car. But now, a bit of clear air now for these two. They're not going to hit a traffic for almost a lap right now. This is now Seamus having to use his skill and ability, and also a Martin Sproul with a blown engine just up ahead to make sure he can get around.
Absolutely. So Martin Sproul's going to stay on the inside, let these two go. Raul Guardia loses a little bit of his arc into the corner, which is going to push him a little bit wide. But due to the draft and the fact that all these drivers are running high downforce on this track, look at how fast he's gaining on Seamus Power. He was a second back when he started the straightaway. He's going to end it within 2/10. But unfortunately, it's not enough room to make the pass. He's got to wait until the next lap or until a better opportunity of corners. Here's AJ Jesse and Andre Felipe Diaz battling for the 19th position. These two have had their few run-ins with the GTOs, and here comes another GTO to try and get in the way and spoil the party. It's going to be Andre Felipe Diaz who comes out the better, but AJ Jesse is able to power it up coming out of the corner. They're still side by side.
Still side by side, still having a little fight for themselves as they come around one more time. AJ is going to hold onto that, gets that position. No room for Diaz, but Diaz finds a way through as they come around these corners once again. They're now hitting the back half of the track, and finally Diaz gets through. And again, can't get the throttle down right away on those slow corners, and almost has Jesse going into the back of Diaz. That is just unfortunate. Can they get a run off here? No luck there for AJ to get the run, and it's just going to have to wait for this downforce once again. I can't report nothing else is happening, but that battle between Valenteus is now heating up.
Yeah, well, nothing. So a lot did happen, actually. Javier Del Olmo got to the back of two lapped GTOs and sent them around, and so that put him in. Into the clutches of Andres Valenteus, and Del Olmo and Valenteus lost 2 seconds in that ordeal. So they're now 4 seconds behind JD Rodriguez, and they've got a lot of ground to make it back up to the leaders. 12 minutes to go in this race. this has been one of the most chaotic and a little bit more chaotic than usual, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last week how we didn't have the large numbers due to the fact that it's split. And the community loves to see the large numbers that get a split. They know that the more drivers in a single split, the more chaotic it can be. Don't think they were expecting it to be this chaotic today. Valenteus with a slide breaking into Primera and catches it. That just goes to show a little bit of an issue as Guardia continues his fight. I don't think the drivers were expecting this. Valenteus climbed up the ranks so quickly out here today, Adam, and he's been stuck in this purgatory, this limbo right now. I don't think, with 11 minutes to go, I don't think he's going to win.
Oh, don't give him that challenge. He's got 7 seconds to make up, and we know that he can do it, but he still has to pass Javier Del Olmo and JD Rodriguez and Jack David Spigot and Noah Lundberg. So that puts a lot of challenge on him. You're probably right, Craig. He's probably not going to make it up to the lead. The question is, how far can he get? As we watch Laust Olsen, and oh my goodness, Laust Olsen and Davide Riccardi trying to make their way around Noah Lundberg and Jack David Spigot are leaders in the GTOs. And Noah Lundberg is going to just stay out of the way. They've seen too much today, Craig.
I mean, again, some of the regulars, and this is not a knock to people that want to come in, some of the regulars, they understand the driving characteristics of some of the other drivers. So for Noel Lundberg, he'll see a Laus Olsen. He'll understand what Laus is going to do. Laus will point his car and basically keep on that line. Other drivers, they do like to chop and change, and that may have just thrown Lundberg off a little bit, but it has allowed Jack, he's made a mistake. He cannot catch up now. JD Rodriguez is almost in the grasp of Jack David Spigot. Valenteus still on the back of Javier Del Olmo. I think he's finally going to get it here. He will indeed. There's a GTP, that's Romero. He may give a small slipstream to Del Olmo, but it's not going to matter. Valenteus heard me. 5.8 is the gap with 10 minutes to go. That's a second a lap though, Adam. You're going to need some big time help.
Now they've got Carlos Peralta, who just spun behind our leaders, and you saw that just on screen. Antila Pisto's gone around. I don't know, Craig. I don't know. You talk about how the visitors might have been causing problems today, but most of what I've seen on our screens like this have been the regulars who have been having issues and getting into the back of people. So, I mean, I don't think there's a way to knock anybody around here except for just everyone's taking a little bit too much out of the track right now.
Yeah, Lepisto spun on his own once again, got on the throttle too hard. A really weird mistake. Let's be honest, as you see Kelton Armstrong. That was Kelton Armstrong lap car there. You don't see... You see drivers that haven't got the long-term experience. You know, Lars Olsen's got, what, 4 years in this car? More than that. Adam knows better than me. Dimamaki has a battle here just to try and make up some places. You see these drivers... Now, these drivers have the experience around here, Adam, but you don't expect them to get on the throttle too hot and spin the tires. We've seen a lot of that from everybody today. It is so weird to see that from any driver.
Yeah, Jack David Spigot just had to take avoiding action from Juanmi Cermeño on the front straightaway. Jack David Spigot in second position of the GTOs. This was on the run-up to the front straight, so there was no reason for anything to happen. And it did anyway. I'm flabbergasted, but as we can see right now, Seamus Power in that fourth position in the GTPs. He's got 2.5 seconds up the road to Raul Roches Guardia. So he's got 10 seconds behind him as well. He's going to be hard pressed to get up to Raul Roches Guardia and try and take away third position here. JD Rodriguez is now in the clutches of Jack David Spigot because of everything that has gone on. There's just a lot happening on track right now as we take a look at Antti Lepisto, who's still trying to battle with Davide Ricciardi.
Yeah, got Lars Olsen behind as well. It's really just turned into a battle of attrition out there. And he is able to keep on, but these slow corners, I do wonder, is it the slow corner? This would be a lot of a debrief for some of the drivers after the race. Is it the slow corners that caught them out? Is it the high-speed stuff? I think it's clear that the heavy braking slow corners have caught a lot of the drivers out today, not just on braking, but also getting on the throttle. And I think that has caused a lot of issues. Drivers taking liberties, going wide once again. But I don't think Lepisto is going to make this. It will be a late send here. We know the outside is the preferred line. He realizes on the last moment he lifts as well. Laus Olsen sees it as well. he holds off once again. We haven't talked about it, but Jacob Reed has a 9-second lead over everybody. And I've just looked at the timing towers. The top 3 in the GTOs are almost bunched up together.
Yeah, the one person that we haven't talked about today is having a race to remember. Jacob Reed up at the front of the field has had 0 issues the whole day. Of course, knock on wood, but looks like Joseph Romero is going to go into the pits for some repairs, as well as Brendan Lim. And Cal Young in second position. He's 10 seconds back. He's got an 11-second gap to Raul Roches Guardia. Ever since sending Nick McConis around, he's had no issues out there. He's just been trying to make hay.
He's been trying to make haste, and it's really hard to make haste when the guy you're trying to catch is Jacob Reed. We talk about his pedigree, champion on iRacing, and it's just not going to work. And keeping my eyes on the GTO, Jack David Spickett had a lockup going into the Torre hairpin. He has lost time to Lundberg, but he is able to catch now as Rodriguez right behind him. We're looking at David Ricciardi still in this 3-car battle with 6 minutes to go. Top 10 here will be really good for points for any of these drivers. It's not a lot, not a lot of time that some of these drivers get a chance to get a top 10. Oh my word! That was a close moment. Really good catch. Maybe that will set it up. One of these drivers want to get in that top 10.
And we lost Olsen, who's going to take a move to the inside of Davide Ricciardi, and he's going to get that done. No, he gets off track just a little bit. The question is that going to be a slowdown for him? Looks like Davide Ricciardi is going to try and set up the inside. That's Dylan Freckleton going wide. So Dylan Freckleton not in this battle. He's a lapped car. They're catching up to Brandon White and Mika Tupola, who are battling for 13th position in the GTOs. Until the piece able to get past both of them. Mika Tupola is going to cut off Laust Olsen. Brandon White didn't realize that Laust was there, almost turned in on him. He's going to go quite wide, so it's going to give 13th comfortably to Mika Tupola, and Laust is going to retain 11th.
Yeah, Laus holds on to that position, and now Ricciardi losing time out there due to the traffic. Losing more time out there. Now he's lost 2 seconds and a miss shift as well. It's not going well for him. JD Rodriguez, though, we've got to go back to the GTP Championship battles here. Valenteus is 3 seconds behind. He cannot find time to catch up, and the time is starting to slip away for him. Just like that moment with Rodriguez, it's slipping. He had a chance to catch up to Jack David Spickett, could not make it stick, and now he's going to have to do it all over again, because this is now the battle they're going to have to accept. Lundberg got that lead. He hasn't lost it. Even though he was slower last lap, that gap is just enough for him to keep on pulling.
And Jack's been trying to stick with Noah Lundberg, but the traffic's been cutting him off at every apex, and he's been slow out of the corners. As you can see just up ahead, Adrian Alvarez, not knowing how fast Noah Lundberg is going to exit the corner, got bottled up behind him. We're taking a look at Ilka Colasado, as Ilka's trying to have a battle here. And it's just absolute chaos out there right now. The drivers just don't seem to have a grip of what the other class needs. As we see, oh my goodness, that was a spin to the inside there from one of the GTOs who was trying to recover, and that was Brendan Lim, who was part of that incident as well.
Yeah, Dylan Freckleton in the pits after an incident with Mika Tupola, who's had to take a tow as well, as Brendan Lim continues on. He's trying to catch up. I don't think he's got the time to catch up. They're on lap 24 of what should be 27 laps out there, so there is still time. They should know it's a 27-lap race, so it's going to be fine. Stadalo having a bit of a moment out there as well, as we're looking at Logan Edwards continuing on, and Edwards still trying to battle Matthew Cockerham. Battles are still happening out here, which is something you don't really see this late in the field, but it does happen. And hello, I got to talk about this. Valenteus is battling Olesniak. Valenteus is going backwards. There they are in the background as you see Guardia side by side with Seamus Power. The inside is the slower line, but he allows Seamus to take that position. And there's a bump and a bump between Valenteus and Olesniak behind. We're watching this. Guardia's going to try and go in. That's way too late. He gets to slide. Power holds on. Valenteus defends that P5 after a small scare. But this had all of a sudden just gone. He gets on the radio, just Guardia. I believe that was an apology. And it was just a bit of a late moment there. You saw the slide. He had to get on the brake super late.
And this is the battle for the last spot on the podium. That's why we're looking at this. Seamus Power able to hold on to that third position. I can report that that incident that happened with Mika Tupola, that was on the exit of the final corner. A place where I don't expect there to be an incident. I don't think any drivers expecting there to be a problem either, but that's what ended up sending them into the inside pit wall, and they had to take a tow, which takes them around the entire rest of the track because they missed the pit entry. So that's a long tow for them. We're looking at Brendan Lim in 7th position. He's on a recovery drive after spinning earlier. He's trying to make that pass on Ilka Codesalo, but unfortunately for him, he's starting to lose time as well. JD Rodriguez, on the other hand, gaining time on Jack David Spickett. He's going to look for 2nd position as we close into the last 2 minutes of this race.
Well, as we were looking there at Brendan Lim, I thought I saw a car off in the grass. It was a car off in the grass. It was Ove Trengaray. He had a spin on his own and just caught too much of the grass, got the throttle on the grass, went straight into the barrier and blew the engine. Trengaray's day is over, but can JD Rodriguez make a response on Jack David Spickett? Still not a lot of space to go. Guardia squeezes in. Is there an opportunity? You can't late send in these cars, and smoking on the brakes to JD Rodriguez. He may have the Karamin, but that's no Ferrari out there today. He's going to have to look for a move. The cutback is on. They come down to the run down to Torre. There's 3 wide up ahead for other drivers, and that is Mumberg up ahead. It looks like JD's going to hold on to this. JDS, though, is going to try to do for the cutback on the sausage curve for Rodriguez. He holds on for the moment. They have a few more laps to go.
They have a few more laps to go. Probably one more lap to go. This is probably their penultimate lap. So Jack David Spickett takes it a little bit too deep and too cut of the corner, gone to the sausage curve and sent him back out, but he's still tucked into the back. JD Rodriguez is looking ahead. They have Eustacio Alvarez that they have to get by in the lap GTO. He's going to pull over to the side and let these two go. Yes, he is, but JD Rodriguez didn't know if he would, so he took it deep into the corner. That put him a little bit out on the braking. Jack David Spickett still trying to put pressure on. They're gaining on Noah Lundberg, but it might be too little too late. Jacob Reed has just started his final lap. He's going through turn 3 now. He's got 12 seconds on Cal Young. So this is going to be the penultimate lap for these GTOs. Coming down to the white flag for them.
I was going to say, penultimate lap, it's going to be the final lap for them very shortly, and maybe they can do it. You can see the GTOs, some of these GTOs' biggest weakness today, this final part of the corner, and you now start to see other battles happening. Jesse Diaz having a battle right in front of these cars. Lundberg is just going to have to keep eyes behind him. He has a 1.5 second lead. Jacob Reed, as we talked about, had that massive lead, doesn't have to worry too much as he has it all safely done, knock on wood. It's going to be very interesting to see. Yeah, Adam's keeping his eyes on. AJ Jesse's gone around. Hopefully it doesn't affect anybody else. You know what? I said hopefully it doesn't affect anyone else. Did one of the drivers just catch damage there? No, everything's safe.
Jack David Spickett did get into the back of a recovering Ardo Iamaki. Ardo Iamaki, after 2 spins and some contact, is still in 5th position right now. Jacob Reed, though, trying to make it around. He's gained 2 seconds just in this lap alone. And Jacob Reed coming out of the final corner, the only driver who can say he didn't have an eventful day, is going to win the race. 15 seconds ahead of Cal Young.
Cal Young will come across very shortly and take that P2. He benefited from some incidents out there as well. Manages to hold on to a P2 after catching it early. Gets it done. Nothing happening in those battles because the battles unfortunately look over. JD Rodriguez, though, it could be tight now. Lundberg has had to use up a bit of his time to hold on. There goes Seamus Power for his P3. Lundberg has had to just wait a moment. He's played this safe. You can see that gap now. Rodriguez is so close. Anything could happen right now. Costa Lim's going to go about. Has he out of fuel? No. He will hold on to this. Noel Lundberg is going to take the P1 from start to finish. It wasn't an easy race for him, but what a recovery drive from JD Rodriguez, losing the lead on the first lap on turn 5. He somehow gets a P5.
And Noel Lundberg takes his 10th win of the broadcast series and his first win of the season, and it was a hard-fought victory today. A hard-fought survival out there. Everyone looks like Noel Lundberg is going to be the last one to remain on the island.
Can we breathe yet, Adam? Can we breathe yet? That's the question. What
couldn't for the whole race.
What a chaotic race out there today. It is just what it is, though. That is the nature of multi-class racing.
And so let's take a look at what happened out there today. Jacob Reed came home with the win over Cal Young by 15 seconds. Seamus Power in 3rd position for the GTPs with Raul Roches Guardia in the 4th position. Arda Yamaki is able to recover all the way up to 5th with Ilka Kodasalo in 6th position. Brendan Lim, after having 3 spins on the day, recovers to 7th position with Matthew Cockrum, Antti Lapisto, and Davide Ricciardi rounding out your top 10. Then it's going to be Laust Olsen, who's going to have finished in 11th with Carlos Peralta. After having 4 spins on the day for him, is going to finish in 12th position as well. We have Juanmi Cermeño, who's going to finish in 13th with Logan Edwards, the first driver to finish 1 lap down. Bruno Araya and Adrian Alvarez 15th and 16th with Andres Felipe Diaz in 17th. Manuel Gonzalez is going to finish in 18th position. AJ Jesse ends up finishing in 19th. Last driver 1 lap down. Then we have Nicolas Mecanos 2 laps down and Kelton Armstrong 3 laps down. Joseph Romero managed to finish, but then we have Dylan Freckleton, Toko Hisada, Mountain Sprout, and Harry Weir, who did not finish the race.
Well, when you see the GTO field, you're going to see the top 10. Something's going to stick out like a sore thumb. We'll get there very shortly because Noel Lundberg is the winner today. From flag to light, he took the victory, but it wasn't all plain sailing. He lost to lead to JD Rodriguez at the start of the race. JD loses control. He fought back to a P2. Jack David Spickett gets a P3. And to his words, there were more drivers who deserved this podium than I did. Then you have Javier Del Olmo in 4th position. Christopher Lesniak makes 7 places up to 5th. Doug Cloud will be 6th. And then Fabian Youngblood 7th. Mickey Friesen 8th. Valenteus towed on the last lap. He finishes a lap down in 9th. Ian Haycox will be P10th, though, as we get to the second page. Yes, Valenteus has not won a race this season for the first time in half a season. Joran Van Hick, will finish down 7 places to 11. Brandon White will be 12th. Estario Alvarez will be 13th. Martin Enrique Revert will be 14th. And then the retirees, Ove Trangarade will be 15th. Mika Tupolo, 16th. Martin Krajcik will be 17th. Vazquez will be 18th. Fernandez, 19th. And Dechari did have a very beautiful pirouette, but unfortunately finishes 20th.
The good news for Valenteus is that he did complete 75% of the race, so he will get points for finishing in 9th position. But it looks like he picked up his final incident point that would have put him into a drive-through penalty situation, and he decided not to finish because it wouldn't have made a difference. So that's what's happened with Valenteus. So my goodness, what a crazy race we have had, Craig. I genuinely don't know what to think about this. This was more chaos and more mistakes than we've seen in quite a while from a lot of series regulars.
It is, and I was thinking about, well, where are we next week? And I had to look at where we're next week, Adam, and it's Adam's voice there says it all, ladies and gentlemen, because we go to Lime Rock Park next week. Now, we're not saying that as, oh no, it's going to get worse, because, multi-class racing always is going to be a mix-up match of oil and water. They come together, they don't mix. It happens. But we come to a track like this, designed in purpose for wide, fast overtaking, multi-class racing, and then we go to Lime Rock Park next week, which is completely the opposite. So what you saw today will probably not happen next week. Remember, if anyone's watching, it's a free track. The cars may not be free, but it's a free track. Do come and give it a go.
Well, that's going to be it for us today. I want to give a huge shout out to the IMSA Vintage community for bringing us on for another season. I want to give a thanks to the team today, Craig, Daniel, and Dougie. Also, make sure to check out our social media website, merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As was mentioned, and you just saw on the screen, Lime Rock Classic is next week, 40 minutes. That's February 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern. But on GSRC going on right now is PT Autosports, so click on that badge and below and tune in over there for some more racing action. We also have the GP Classic, the Classic Lotus Grand Prix. That's tomorrow, Sunday at 11:30 Eastern at the same track. So if you want to see a single class race in some vintage machines, come back to Algarve and we'll see it again. But don't miss the other races that you also see here on your screen, and we hope you've enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back again soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.